What is happening, folks? Welcome to another episode of 9 Nerd Yards. We are breaking down the Ultimate Fighter Season 31 episode. Are we on 5 already, Kurt?
5.
Bro, this season's moving. And I'm here as always on our weekly updates with a fighter in the house and a fighter in real life. My boy, y'all's favorite, Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt, how you doing, baby?
I'm good, man. Just wrapped up episode 5 of The Ultimate Fighter, season 31 on ESPN. Um, and we're finally here. It's finally time.
The time is now, bro. If anybody missed it, at the end of the fights, they always show the next week fights. You're up next week, my dude.
Man, been waiting for this since we got out of the house, since I've been in the house. So, yeah, like it's crazy to even think that, I'm already home out of the house and we're already 5 weeks into The Ultimate Fighter. And, it's been a heck of a journey.
Right, factuals. They got you fighting Lee Hammond, who's number one pick on Connor's team, and bro, they're just they bit. Even before they were building it, 2 weeks ago, you were like, "It's gonna be fireworks on 4th of July," and I ain't just talking about the fireworks. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And as you've seen in some of the clips, man, we're throwing hammers. So it's going to be exciting. It's not going to be one that you want to miss.
Nice. Love it. All right, before we get into this episode, you had some things going on this weekend, my dude. You had some fighters fighting that at the gym or from your gym, I should say. You said your son was fighting. Was that what was going on too? Bro, walk me through this weekend real quick, and then we'll touch on this episode. How'd this weekend go?
Man, it wasn't the best weekend for our team.
Okay.
I had like 9 guys fight, and we didn't do that well. I had 2 fighters win. My son actually lost his first fight inside the cage, which hit me hard, man. That one was hard to watch. But everybody put on good performances. Even my son, he fought a very, very skilled kid and of course I can say that because I know how skilled he is. You
Right.
know, but yeah, man, it's a good fight. He got hit with a spinning back kick in the second round that right to the liver, so that put him down, and and that was that. So
Right.
it sucks, but it's part of the game, man. We're gonna win, we're gonna lose, and we're gonna win as a team. We're gonna lose as a team. All the guys that fought, all the guys that lost, all the guys that won. We win with the guys that win, and we lose with the guys that lose. So
Right.
just the way it goes.
Actual facts. How'd your son take it, man?
He was good. That was a fight we really wanted to win. There was a little bit of controversy at the weigh-ins, back and forth between the coaches and the team, and I didn't appreciate some of the stuff they were saying leading up to it. So, I kind of took it personal, and but I believed in my son 100%. And it was a good fight while it lasted. But like I said, you don't see many kids like the kid that he fought. The kid that he fought was super skilled, and I even said this on the last show. I said, look, I know this kid is good, but I'm putting my son to the test here. I'm going to really test
Right.
him. And what I said, when I mean test him, I'm letting him step into this kid's world. Of course, my son's a mixed martial artist, but when I say mixed martial artist, he's been training jiu-jitsu since he was 3.5, 4 years old. We've been working boxing for the last couple of years. We just started kind of working in some kickboxing, but we've been basically working to be an all-around MMA fighter. The
Right.
kid that he was a Taekwondo black belt. And then when I say this kid can throw kicks in every direction, I'm not even joking. I mean, the kid was good. So,
Dang.
nothing to hang our hat on, man.
Yeah.
Even like some of my other guys that fought, everybody stepped up, took tough fights. I had some guys step up, take fights on a week notice. So
Wow.
everybody showed up, everybody had fun, in victory or defeat, and it is what it is.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, you kind of you take the good with the bad. It comes with the territory, and you live to fight another day. And I don't know, man. I think it's always you sort of try to pick up the pieces and then learn from that, and then be like, all right, what am I gonna do better next fight, and what mistakes am I not gonna make? Because if I don't make those mistakes, I'm probably gonna come out shining better than I did before.
Yep. Man, I have to say myself, I think I've learned way more in losses than I have in wins or anything else. You know, I've learned a lot through the losses that I have, and the losses that you have on the journey that you have makes you the fighter that you become. So, you know, of course, all of my guys will learn from their losses, learn from their mistakes,
Right.
and try to correct those mistakes in the next fight.
Factuals, actual factuals. And I think that's good for somebody like you to be like, one, it's your son, but also like the mentor figure for the rest of everybody else in your gym, because like you've been there before. You know what it takes. You've been in the highs of highs, championship fights. You've been there before, bro. Like it doesn't. There's not a whole bunch that they're gonna do that you haven't already experienced, that you can't already like come down to their level and be like, here's how I'm relating to you, and here's what we compare it to, and also here's what I did when I was in your place, and here's like actual practical advice that I can give you besides just like, oh, tough loss, man, we'll do better next time. It's like, no, it's, here's the mentality I was going through, right? Like, doesn't it feel like that? I'm sure, right? Like you can relate a hell of a lot more because you've been there.
100%, you know, and everybody knows. And that's the first thing I said was, you know, guys, we didn't have a good night, but you know, we're going to work on things. We're going to go back to the gym. We're going to work on things. You know, I got some guys already said, hey, well, I want to fight this date. Put me on this card. Next week, I'm taking my wife and my two sons to Vegas, and
Okay.
they're going to compete in the IBJJF Nationals Jiu-Jitsu
Hmm.
competition. So, I mean, we're already back on the horse, man. I already got all the guys right back in the gym Monday training. Now, you know, next week, my wife and our two sons, we're gonna bring them out to Vegas. They're all gonna compete. I'm gonna do some training down there. Hopefully, get together with my guy Robert Drysdale, coach on the Ultimate Fighter Show. You know, catch up a little bit with him, and you know, enjoy Vegas.
Nice, nice, man. That's fantastic. And yeah, that's dope. Like, I'll ask this question: if you're down there and you have the time, where's Drysdale? Is Drysdale at Extreme Couture, or where's he at?
No, I think he has his own gym, and I
Okay.
know the name of it. I got my messages, but yeah, yeah, he's got his own gym, and I hear it's super nice. Really well ran. I actually got
Hmm.
one of my teammates right now, one of my blue belts, that is going back and forth to Vegas. And he asked me, hey, what's a good place to train? I said, hey, man, let me hook you up with my guy, Robert Drysdale, one of the best
Right.
jiu-jitsu guys in the world, one of the coaches on the Ultimate Fighter. So I linked them two up. Now they're training back and forth. And my guy, Josh, came to me and was like, man, that's a hell of
That's
a gym.
real deal.
They
Real
make
deal.
sure to work hard in there. So it's cool, man. I'm gonna get down there and try it out, and you know, have some fun, get some good training in.
Hell yeah, man. That's dope. I'm happy for you. All right, let's talk about this real quick, man. So we had this last episode. What was the deal with Brad Katona? Was it as did they make him out to be as diva-ish as he was on the show, or did they just put a bunch of clips together and like sort of like, here's the most diva moments, and we're gonna compile these and make and like sort of sell this story? Or was it that? Because even you and Jason Knight in the truck were like, bro, we need to leave. Like, what are you doing, my dude?
You know, I really had no problems with Brad. I didn't have problems with anybody in the house. You know, and that's
Right.
just the type of person I am. You know. But yeah, man, the dude's definitely a diva. He's definitely a guy, and everybody knew this from the beginning, right?
Okay.
Everybody knew that Brad Katona was a SBG guy. He trained under John Kavanagh. He was on Conor McGregor's real team, you know.
Right.
So whenever he got selected to our team, everybody kind of already said, "Well, I'm sure, you know, Brad don't want to be on our team." And first day of practice, I mean, you can already tell. I think there was a little incident. He might have got nicked on the chin or something like that. First day of practice, and didn't really want to train too much. So I said that he
Oh,
didn't want to train too much. He didn't really want to train with
with the
the guys.
team.
He didn't
Yeah.
really want to. So he was always kind of off doing his own thing for the most part. And, he would hit some pads here and there with Coach Jason Strout and Sean Soriano, but maybe ask Chandler for some advice here and there. But for the most part, he kind of didn't do the same workouts we were all doing. He kind of went and did his own thing for the most part. And that's just kind of how it was.
And it seems like y'all are all adults, right? Like it's all allowable, but like part of the journey of being on the Ultimate Fighter is sort of submitting to the will of like what your coach wants to do in order to garner and glean that knowledge and that skill set for whatever they're trying to enhance you to do on all the fights that are or potential fights that are coming up, right?
Right, of course. And that's why I thought we had such a good coaching staff, man. Every coach on the team, and of course I got to give these guys shout outs. Michael Chandler,
Mm-hmm.
of course,
Right.
one of the best humans in the world. And as a matter of fact, just messaged me on Instagram on one of my posts and literally told me he loved me, and that's just the type of guy he is, man.
That's awesome, man.
Just awesome. Will do anything for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States or the janitor in a high school. He's going to treat you the exact same way, and that's just Michael Chandler.
Man.
Same thing with Coach Robert Drysdale, Ryan Bader, Sean Soriano, Jason Strouts, and we even had the legendary coach Bob Cook from AKA,
Oh,
there
crazy
helping
Bob
us out.
Cook.
Crazy Bob Cook. He was, man, and it's crazy. They haven't really shown anything, with him on the team. He actually did come in a little bit later, but I know he's around in all those training videos. So yeah, Crazy
Wow.
Bob Cooks. He came in maybe a week or two into the show and
Uh-huh.
stayed the entire time. Helped everybody
Wow.
out. Super cool guy. Um, so yeah, man, I think all of our coaches didn't want us to change a thing. The way they were and the way our coaching practices were ran is, Chandler and said, hey, I think we'll start out with do these few things and translate or transfer into these things. And but if you don't want to do it, guys, you don't have to do it. Like do what's best for you. Do what you normally do. Protect your body and of course, there some guys might have said, "Hey, look, I'm sore today. I got this hurt, man. Maybe I'll just sit out or stretch or run." And some guys say, "Okay, well, I'm going to do these drills." So it was really cool. They never, and of course, they pushed us in practice, but
Right.
at this time, we're all fighting in these short periods of time, so you can't be in there sparring every day. You can't be in there sparring super hard or being really pushed to your limits the way you would normally do when you're just starting a training camp, right?
Right.
So the way they did the coaching, I thought was perfect. And as you can see, man, we're looking good right now. We're 5-0, pretty
Mm-hmm.
dominant performances, and here's the thing: the prospects that they brought in are all veteran guys. That's all guys that have very good records, been fighting for a long time. So it's not like I don't think skill wise the matchups are that lopsided. I think everybody's
Right.
pretty well, um, on the same level for the most part. But I just think you can see the way Connor's coaching his guys and just kind of the stuff that he's doing, and then you look at Chandler. And I just think our coaching style had a lot to do with the success that we're having right now.
Facts. Facts has to be right. Like even if you look at wouldn't the record like of Brad Katona and Carlos Ferreira, like it seemed like one guy was like 12-3 and like Brad was like 12-2. Like it seemed very comparable,
Yeah,
right? Like I think is your point.
that's right. And on paper, that's very well matched. I mean, yeah, Brad's got some UFC experience, but Carlos had some, big fight experience. He was in Fury for a little while. I think he
Right.
might have even been, I don't know if he was Fury champion or not, but I mean, yeah, he's been around for a long time. I actually am very good friends with Carlos. I've been knowing Carlos
Okay.
for like 10 years, maybe longer. because he
Whoa.
came down to New Orleans from Ecuador, as he kind of explained on the show. And ever since he first got down here and burst onto the local scene, that's when I was just up and coming too. So I mean, we were pretty good friends, and that was also another cool thing to have a good friend inside the house.
Right, right. That's dope, man. But it's also too, right? Like I feel like the MMA community in and of itself, it's not like a far stretched, community. Like I feel like you could throw a rock. Like if you've been in it for a while, you could throw a rock and you'd be like, "Oh, I know that dude." Like it's not like a lot of people are. There's not 6 degrees of separation when it comes to the MMA community. Like it's usually one or two. Like everybody pretty much knows everybody, and especially too, I think there's generational things. Like right, like you just mentioned, like you're like 10 years ago, like I was up and coming, he was up and coming. So it's like generational things. You're like, oh, I know this guy because like we trained over here, or he came down over here, or we fought over like a fight card separated from this city or that, right? Like it feels that way.
For sure. I mean, Dustin Poirier fought his last amateur fight the same night I fought my fourth amateur fight. So I mean, like, been around for a long time, man.
Right.
So
That's so funny. That's so funny. All right, so Brad is for sure like they weren't playing it up. Like it sort of was like that is who he was in the
no,
house.
and yeah, that's exactly how he was in the house. And like I've explained before, you know, um, every day you wake up, you have a list, right? You go, you write on your list what you want. Maybe you want some low fat yogurt. Maybe you need a ribeye, some salmon, some broccoli. Whatever you want. Certain type of toothpaste, man, and they're gonna get it for you. The next day, you got it on your in your little cabinet or wherever they putting all your stuff. And most guys, they'll put a few things down, but when I tell you Brad's list was a freaking mile long on
No,
so much use.
no.
Everybody was like, "What does he need all this stuff for? Like, what's he gonna do? Bring it home with him after the show?" Like, I'm not joking. He was very, very needy. How about that? Very needy guy.
How
Needed a
about
lot of
that?
stuff. So
You
yeah, I
see,
would definitely say they're not building it up. He's definitely a diva.
he's definitely. It seemed very like I don't know if it's OCD or he's just a particular person or a type A personality. Not like abrasive. He didn't seem abrasive. Like he seemed like pretty nice dude. He just seemed like I have a particular linear way this has to go. It don't go that way. I need it to go that way. I'm gonna make it go that way. I don't care if you don't like it if it don't go your way, it's gotta go this way. And and the reason that I bring that up is just in the way that like I heard him talking about fighting. And I heard him talking about how you're smiling, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I just the way that I heard him talk about fighting and the way that he described himself and he was describing other people, like I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like in the very first episode when I think he got a little screen time, and
Mm-hmm.
the clip came on where he was interviewing, and they said, I think, some of my team wonders where my allegiance lies, and honestly, it lies with Brad Katona. He said, I'm a
Right.
gangster, and I'm I still talk to a lot of the guys who are in the house, and
Mm-hmm.
dude, they laugh so hard on that, and they're like, freaking Brad.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm gonna go back
And
and rewatch the
what's
first episode.
it's so funny because nobody liked Brad. Like me, I don't dislike anybody, but nobody liked Brad. I'm gonna tell you right now. Everybody was like, so Brad. Even my wife, she watches. She was like, I don't like that guy. I'm like, well, you're not the only. Not only that, I got teammates too. They're like, man, I don't know about that Brad guy. So maybe he just rubs everybody the wrong way.
I think again, like he doesn't seem like a bad person. He just seems very like linear, and like I think linear people, like right when you try to have like conversations or even train with them, you're like, you got to be flexible, my dude. Like that's how we work together. We got to be more cohesive here. But he's like, nah, bro. I already won the first one. On I think especially that adds to like that mentality of like, bro, you how you gonna coach me? I already done coach myself and I already won. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna do that? So I think there's a bit of that there too.
And and not on the Ultimate Fighter, but there's so many guys that fight mixed martial arts out there like that. So many guys do the same thing.
Mhm.
They think that they're already there and they don't need coaching from anybody else. But I might have a guy come in, or some of my coaches. Of course, I've fought in the UFC several times, and I might have a guy that only fought amateur fights. But at the same time, whoever that guy is might still know what he's talking about. So if I got this guy telling me, "Hey, man, look, I like to do this against a southpaw, so I think it's good to do this or step this way," man, yeah, man, I like that. Cool. I never shut him down and be like, I don't, I don't need your opinion.
Right. Yeah.
And I tell you this, um,
Mhm.
I'll use Brennan Allen for an example, right? Brennan Allen, top UFC middleweight, you're destroying
Yeah.
everybody. You know, um, he can come in and train at the gym, and he might be working on something, and I'll tell him, man, I normally like to do this against somebody that stands like this or somebody that's in this position, and he'll it'll agree with everything. He'll take it in, knowing that
Mhm.
I can't teach Brennan anything, man. Look at Brennan. What am I really going to teach Brennan? But still, I mean, that's the way he is. He's going to take in that knowledge. He's not going to sit there and tell you, man, I'm going to do it this way, or I'm going to do it
Right.
that way. He's
Right.
going to take it, okay, man. Thank you, appreciate it. And I'm the
Yeah.
same way. But yeah, like you're saying, Brad, he might not be like that because he already been there. He already won the show. He has his own ways of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very that's what came across to me. And again, like I don't feel like I'm an expert in like deciphering people, but I feel like I do have an extensive knowledge of like, bro, talking with fighters, talking with like just random people. I don't say random people, but like so many guests that I've had on years of podcasting where I can sort of like pick certain things out of just tonality and nonverbal communication where it's like, oh, I think this is where that comes from. This is what he's thinking. Okay, all right, that's interesting. But I think it's so funny too that you said like it's not just they're not just displaying that on the show. Like people in the house noticed that. His team
Oh,
noticed
sure.
that.
100%, man. And there's going to be a lot more things to come on the later episodes of the show. Um,
Just tune
Definitely
in for
don't
that.
miss any episodes because you might miss something you don't want to miss and then have to go back and catch it later after everybody already tells you. So, but there's more to come. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. Also, I want to re-shout out Brendan Allen. He's been on the show before, I think twice, like Loaded Joe's back in the day, bro. Like just a real salt of the earth type human being. And it seemed that way again. I'm gonna bring this dude's name up because this month, many years ago he died. Brian Levick introduced me to Brendan Allen, like he did
Yeah.
you and many other fighters. And just the salt of the earth type. Like that dude is like you, just so fun to talk to, and yeah, just there for it. So I just want to give him his flowers on this episode since you brought up his name because that dude he's doing great, man.
Brandon started training with me when he was like 12 years old.
Oh
You know,
wow.
we're both here. He lives right down the road in Covington, Louisiana. I live in Franklinton, Louisiana. That's about a 30-minute drive, if that, 25 minutes. So yeah,
Man, crazy. All right. Well, yeah, the connections are again, you could throw a rock into somebody that you know in this world because like the MMA circle is not as big as everybody thinks it is.
Sure. And especially now
uh,
with social media, everybody
oh,
knows everybody.
everybody's connected. I could reach out to a fight. Like I've reached out to fighters before. It's like, you want to come on the show? It's very easy. I mean, I reached out to you again. Like we've been friends on Facebook, and I was like, Kurt, you want to talk about Ultimate Fighter, my dude? I know you're on it.
For sure, man. And you know, many fighters like me enjoy doing it. So why not?
Factuals. Well, speaking of enjoying doing it, I'm gonna bring a nice. This is a nice segue because speaking of talking on the mics, bro, you just start a podcast this weekend? Is that what happened? Breaking news.
I did, and you know, me and a good friend of mine, David Falcone, we call him Big D. Me and this guy have been knowing each other for a long time, even before I got into mixed martial arts. I wasn't even training mixed martial arts yet. And when I first met him, I want to say he might have still been in high school, uh,
Wow.
and I was probably 18. I just got out of high school, and I met him through some friends, and we started talking. He was a huge MMA fan. I was a huge MMA fan, and then we got on the subject of the UFC and probably talking about our favorite fighters, and we instantly had like a little click there where we really kind of vibe, and we've been friends all the way up until today. And
Mhm.
we've always talked about doing podcasts and stuff like that. Years ago, we started talking about it because me and him are tight. We might get on the phone. We might be talking about fantasy football. We might be talking about the UFC. We might be talking about anything, the
Right.
draft, anything. And we're always like, man, that could have been a podcast. Like we just ramble for hours. So finally, I hit him up. I'm like, man, let's do it. Let's go ahead and start this up. Um, so yeah, we came up, and actually, I think he came up with a good name for it. The podcast is called The Contender and the Pretenders. So, and then we brought another good friend of ours, Blake Artledge. He's going to be our editing guy and our sound guy. He's helping out. So we did. We just recorded our first episode, just kind of an introductory into the podcast world of who we are and a little bit about ourselves. Thank some of our sponsors. Got a big sponsor for it. Hatchet
Nice.
Industries, a good friend of mine that trains with me at his company. Got another sponsor, Covington Power Sports, and you know, we just said screw it, let's just go, man. We hit the cameras, hit the lights, and it was action. So we just started rambling away. So we got our first episode out now on YouTube of the Contenders and the Pretenders. So anybody wants to go check it out, check it out. I mean, we're just gonna sit around, talk Ultimate Fighter talk, maybe break down UFC fight cards, break down sports betting. In Louisiana
Mhm.
here, sports betting is legal. And me and my guy Big D, we're big sports bettors. We're always betting fights, betting football. I bet anything I can bet on. So we're always like, man, what you think about this pick? What you think about that pick? And oh man, I don't know if I would go with that one. So it's gonna be fun.
Kurt, you know what
So
you should call that? You know what you should call that segment? You should call that segment. That's a bet.
there you go. I like that.
That's
Um,
dope, man.
and,
That's exciting.
but yeah, it's cool, man. And what's the worst that could happen is you know, nothing becomes of it, but we still sit down, drink some beer, you know, talk, have fun.
Right.
That's fun. I would do that on any day. So,
Yeah. That's dope. I mean, again, I was telling you before we started this, like, that's how I started my first podcast, Loaded Joe's. Like, just I was hanging with friends, we were drinking beers,
yep.
having some whiskey, talking fighting, watching fighting, and it's just like, what if we just recorded this? Like, what would happen? What would happen? And here I am 8 years later.
And I mean, what a better time now that the whole world's really about to know who I am. Everybody that's a UFC fan or watching the Ultimate Fighter, that's on the biggest platform it's ever been on, ESPN. You
Right.
know, who knows where this thing can go? So, man,
That's
we're just like, let's do it.
yeah, that's exciting. Kurt, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. and I wish all the best of luck. I mean, I know that, like, bro, you start something, and I know you see it all the way through, and I know you put a team around you, and you already got sponsors, bro. You're doing it. You're already doing it. You're already a podcaster. You're in the podcasting family now. You know what I'm saying? So that's fantastic, my dude. All right. Well, let's get everybody hyped up for next week. But before we do that, any big plans? You said you're going to Vegas next week. You're going to be there for the 4th. Any big plans for the 4th?
So we are leaving Wednesday the 5th.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I've been talking to my wife, trying to see what we want to do for the 4th. Obviously, that's fight night for me. I'm gonna fight Lee Hammond July 4th on ESPN, Ultimate Fighter Season 31, and trying to kind of figure out what to do. Maybe I'm just gonna go by my parents' house, invite some family over, barbecue for the 4th of July, and watch me throw down with Lee Hammond.
Hey, hey, hey. Everybody tune in for that. And then once that happens, we'll cover all the action right back over here and
For sure.
break it all down. You know what I'm most excited for is to break down the fight with you, however which way it goes, because I'm a big analytical person when it comes to fighting, and I love to just dissect and be like, all right, so I saw this thing, why'd you do this? Or like, okay, when you saw this and you did this and this happened, like I love to just dig into that. So I can't wait to dig into that conversation. Everybody tune in next week for that. But yeah, they're building it up on this. Question is, when they did the weigh-ins for this particular today's fight, did they do y'all's as well? Because it was 2 different nights of fights, right? You said.
Right. So yeah. Well, we weighed in that same night, the same day,
Okay.
whatever.
Same day. Yeah.
So yeah, as you see, these weigh-ins were a little bit different than the first weigh-ins. The first weigh-ins, we were actually in front of, and this was when like a couple of the guys fought, Roosevelt Roberts, Austin, and
Mm-hmm.
drawing a blank, but whoever else fought that first week, they weighed in the front, in front of the TUF sign. Some things were going on. I think they had a slap fight stuff going on that they had to weigh in set up for. So we weighed in like in the Ultimate Fighter or the Apex gym that we train in. So they
Okay.
brought the scale out there platform. So we got to weigh in there. But yeah, you can always see, man, everybody sitting there in the weigh-ins. Everybody got the sunshades on because they know they're all sunk in half the time. So
That's
So yeah,
funny.
but I can tell you this, man. Don't
Mhm.
forget, everybody was very intrigued by that first stare down when they announced the fights and called me and Lee Hammond up to square off, and everybody knows how that stare down went. We get to do it again, man. After the weigh-ins, we get to look each other in the eyes and stare down
Woo.
again. So let's see. Everybody sees the way that he blinked or looked away the first time. Does he do that again, or does he say, "Hey, I'm gonna make contact with this guy's eyes this time"? So
Everybody,
we'll.
place your bets and reach out to Kurt Holobaugh to place your bets.
Uh, uh,
I love it. Well, Kurt, this has been another fun episode, and I thank you, man, for filling me in on what happened with this weekend and with your new podcast and um, the plans you got going next week with the IBJJ and everything, man. Always appreciate all the insight into your life, man, and I am definitely excited for next week, man. But till then, let people know where they could find you, reach out to you if they want to chop it up with you or find, shout out your podcast, take over the channel, do all the things, shout out everybody.
for sure, man. Hit me up on Instagram, k.holobaugh. Give me a like, give me a follow. Also, man, if you're curious and want to check out our podcast, the Contenders and the Pretenders YouTube channel, we're also going to get some stuff started on Facebook. Thank you to the sponsors, Hatchet Industries, Covington Power Sports. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything y'all do.
Love it, love it. And everybody go follow Kurt Holobaugh and the Contenders and the Pretenders. If you're already on YouTube and you're watching this, just type it in the little bar. It's right above you. Just go do it. And if you are on all the social medias while you're following Kurt, feel free to follow me, Money Blake Weather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You can follow 9 Nerd Yards as well on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, which is rapidly blowing up. I want to shout out everybody who's been like just going in there, going ham on the likes and the views. We definitely appreciate that. Again, stay tuned for next week. For Kurt's fight, we will be breaking that down. It will be episode 6 of The Ultimate Fighter. If we don't see you for the rest of the week, we do love you. We do appreciate you. If you are tuning in for the rest of the week, we'll be doing The Idol tomorrow night, and we'll be doing Secret Invasion on Thursday. So stay tuned for all of that. But in the meantime, if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on the replay, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is, I appreciate you. Kurt appreciates you. And until the next time, we will see you. Peace.